The story of Vienna in 1529 is a tale of a city standing at a crossroads of history. By the early 16th century, the Ottoman Empire had become a formidable power, stretching across 3 continents. Its rise was swift and, honestly, it seemed unstoppable. In 1453, the Ottomans had captured Constantinople, the heart of the old Byzantine Empire, sending shockwaves across Christian Europe. This event was not just a military victory, it was a symbolic moment that shifted the world's balance of power. The fear of the danger of the Turk, or Türkengefahr as it was known in German-speaking lands, became a very real and present threat for European rulers and their people. Following the fall of Constantinople, the Ottoman armies continued their march westward into Europe. Under the leadership of ambitious and capable sultans, they pushed relentlessly into the Balkans. One by one, kingdoms and principalities fell before their might. The Battle of Mohacs in 1526 was a particularly devastating blow. In that single, catastrophic encounter, the Kingdom of Hungary was shattered, and its king was killed. This victory opened the very heart of Central Europe to the Ottoman advance. Suddenly, there was no significant buffer state left to protect the rest of the continent from this powerful empire. Vienna, the capital of the Habsburg monarchy, now stood directly in the path of this expansion. The city was not just another strategic prize. It was a gateway to the rest of Europe. Controlling Vienna meant controlling the vital Danube River, a major artery for trade and military movement. For the Ottomans, capturing the city would have been their crowning achievement, a symbol of their dominance over their European rivals. It would have opened the door for potential invasions of what is now Germany and Italy, fundamentally reshaping the continent. Vienna had to hold, or the future of Europe could look very different. The importance of Vienna was clear to all. For the Habsburgs, it was the jewel of their ancestral lands and the seat of their power. For the rest of Christendom, it was the last major bastion against an empire that seemed destined to conquer all before it. The city itself was a medieval fortress, but its walls had been built for a different era of warfare, and were not designed to withstand the powerful cannons the Ottomans now possessed. As the summer of 1529 drew to a close, the people of Vienna looked east with a sense of dread, knowing that one of the largest armies the world had ever seen was marching towards their gates. At the heart of this epic confrontation were 2 of the most powerful figures of the 16th century. Leading the Ottoman charge was Sultan Suleiman I, known to his own people as the lawgiver and to Europeans as the Magnificent. Suleiman was a brilliant military strategist, a patron of the arts, and a ruler who presided over the golden age of the Ottoman Empire. He was driven by a powerful ambition to expand his empire's influence and legacy. For him, the conquest of Vienna was not just a strategic objective. It was a personal quest to surpass the achievements of his ancestors, including Mehmed the Conqueror, who had taken Constantinople. On the other side stood the Habsburgs, one of Europe's most influential royal houses. Their vast territories were ruled by 2 brothers, Holy Roman Emperor Charles V and Ferdinand I, Archduke of Austria. The Habsburgs saw themselves as the primary defenders of Catholic Europe against both the Protestant Reformation spreading from within and the Ottoman threat from without. Vienna was Ferdinand's capital, and its defense was his direct responsibility. He scrambled to gather support from across the fractured Holy Roman Empire, but help was slow to arrive. The fate of the city would ultimately rest on a small, determined garrison. The 2 powers represented clashing worlds. Suleiman's Ottoman Empire was a centralized, multicultural state united under the Sultan's absolute authority, with a highly disciplined and modern army. In contrast, the Habsburg lands were a collection of different territories and peoples, often divided by political and religious disputes. While Suleiman could command a massive, single army, Ferdinand had to negotiate with various German princes and estates for troops and money. This stark difference in organization and resources meant the odds were overwhelmingly stacked in the Ottomans' favor as their forces approached Vienna. The defense of the city itself was entrusted to a 70-year-old German mercenary named Nicholas, Count of Salm. He was a seasoned veteran of countless European wars and a brilliant military engineer. Despite being vastly outnumbered, he was a pragmatic and inspiring leader who knew how to make the most of his limited resources. He immediately set about strengthening Vienna's aging defenses, tearing down buildings outside the walls to clear fields of fire, and rallying the city's citizens to prepare for a desperate fight. The stage was set for a dramatic clash between Suleiman's imperial might and Salm's stubborn defiance. In late September 1529, the massive Ottoman army, estimated to be over 100,000 strong, finally arrived before the walls of Vienna. The sight must have been terrifying for the city's inhabitants. An endless sea of tents sprang up, stretching for miles, while the sound of drums and trumpets filled the air. The defenders, by contrast, numbered only around 20,000 soldiers and armed citizens. The journey to Vienna had been difficult for the Ottomans. Unusually heavy rains had bogged down their march, forcing them to abandon their heaviest siege cannons. A crucial piece of luck for the Viennese. The Ottomans quickly surrounded the city and began their assault. Their primary tactic was to use miners to dig tunnels, or saps, underneath the city walls. They would then pack these tunnels with gunpowder and detonate them, hoping to create a breach that their elite infantry, the Janissaries, could pour through. For weeks, Vienna was rocked by explosions as sections of its walls were blown apart. The defenders faced a relentless barrage of cannon fire and arrows, and the psychological pressure was immense. The air was thick with smoke and the constant noise of battle. However, the defenders of Vienna fought back with incredible courage and ingenuity. Under the command of Nicholas of Salm, they organized countermining operations. They would listen for the sounds of Ottoman digging and then dig their own tunnels to intercept the enemy, leading to vicious hand-to-hand combat in the darkness underground. The citizens of Vienna, including women and children, played a vital role. They worked tirelessly to repair the breaches in the walls, often using earth and rubble to build makeshift ramparts as quickly as the Ottomans could destroy the stone ones. Both sides faced immense challenges. The Ottomans were running low on supplies, and the morale of their troops began to suffer as the siege dragged on longer than expected. The autumn weather grew colder, and disease started to spread through their vast camp. For the Viennese, the greatest challenge was exhaustion. They were constantly on alert, fighting off one assault after another with very little rest. Despite the odds, their determination never wavered. They successfully repelled several major Ottoman attacks, inflicting heavy casualties on the elite Janissary corps. By mid-October, Sultan Suleiman faced a difficult decision. The season was late, his army was weakened by combat and sickness, and the first snows of winter had begun to fall in the distant mountains. With his supply lines stretched thin and no sign of the city's surrender, he gave the order for one final, massive assault. When this last-ditch effort was also beaten back by the exhausted but resolute defenders, the Sultan had no choice but to accept defeat. On October 15, 1529, the Ottomans abandoned the siege and began their long, difficult retreat back to their own territories. The successful defense of Vienna was a monumental turning point in European history. It marked the first time the Ottoman Empire's westward expansion had been decisively halted. The victory ensured that the Habsburgs would remain the dominant power in Central Europe for centuries to come, and solidified Vienna's reputation as a bulwark of Christendom. Though the threat was not over, the Ottomans would return to besiege the city again in 1683. The myth of their invincibility was shattered. The psychological impact was enormous, giving renewed hope and confidence to the Christian powers of Europe. The siege also had a profound cultural impact. In the immediate aftermath, European art and propaganda continued to portray the Ottomans as a fearsome and barbaric enemy. But as the direct threat slowly receded, fear began to mix with fascination. European artists and nobles became increasingly interested in Ottoman culture. The exotic style of Turkish carpets, textiles, and costumes became fashionable symbols of wealth and worldliness. We can see this in famous paintings like Hans Holbein the Younger's The Ambassadors, where a luxurious oriental rug is prominently displayed as a sign of sophistication. Today, Vienna carries the memory of these events in its very fabric. In the 19th century, Emperor Franz Joseph ordered the dismantling of the old medieval walls that had once saved the city. In their place, the magnificent Ringstrasse Boulevard was built, a symbol of a new, modern, and open Vienna. The city transformed from a fortified outpost into a grand imperial capital of culture and ideas. Yet the story of the 1529 siege remains a fundamental part of Vienna's identity, a dramatic tale of how a determined city stood against an empire and, in doing so, shaped the course of European history.